My name is Jeff Moir, protege, co-worker, and friend of Pat Quinn. I met Pat somewhere around 1984. I was working at Fire Station 60 when Chief Comerford came up to me and told me I was driving him that day. We set off to make the rounds of the battalion, but somehow ended up at San Fernando Airport, where we were to take a fire department helicopter survey of the brush areas. Pat Quinn was our pilot. For some reason, the chief got back, and I rode up front with Pat. As I'm sitting down, Pat says, "Hey, I hear you're a helicopter pilot. You want to take the controls?" Huh, silly question. Of course. So off we went. And what was supposed to have been a brush tour ended up being an informal check ride for a prospective fire pilot. Pat returned to Air Ops and started beating the drum about this kid over in Battalion 14 who may just make a good pilot for the fire department one day. Well, that day finally came, and I was thrown into training with Pat as my advanced phase instructor. He took all his years of experience and made sure that I was up to the task of performing as a fire pilot. As a helicopter pilot, one must always be suspicious that if something hasn't gone wrong yet, well, it's about to, and must be prepared to perform an emergency landing, what we call an auto-rotation. As opposed to a normal approach of maybe 5 or 10 degrees in an airplane, an auto-rotation in a helicopter has an approach angle similar to that of a streamlined manhole cover, and the ground comes up fast. The energy of the rotor, now driven by the air, is saved for the very end, where the nose is pitched up, speed dissipated, blade angle changed for a smooth landing. But you have only one shot to get it right. We practiced hundreds of auto rotations with the criteria for accuracy of being able to repeatedly land the helicopter from 500 feet into a 10-foot diameter circle without the engine. Well, I was with him on one flight where he rolled the throttle off, giving me a simulated engine failure, and for some reason the compressor stalled, kind of like a jet engine backfire. Well, a hair went up on the back of Pat's neck. He says, "I got it," and took the controls, entering an auto for what he thought was an actual engine failure. Well, I'm sitting there looking at the gauges, and it's still running. But Pat went ahead and did a beautiful full-down auto rotation into some random little clearing in the hills. As it turns out, a prior model of Jet Ranger belonging to the fire department was notorious for quitting in that exact same fashion. Hence, Pat was spring-loaded to react in the way he did. His skill and airmanship got us on the ground, we sorted out the problem, and off we were again. After finishing training and assigned to Pat shifts at Air Ops, I was treated to a first-hand glimpse of the famous Quinn temper. After being baited by Larry Harris over something probably insignificant, Pat came across the kitchen table at him ready to kill. Well, we pulled him off and all had a good laugh afterward. Pat was a consummate aviator. Growing up in an aviation family, he'd been flying all his life in just about anything that would get airborne. His pride and joy was his Bucher Jungmann, a World War II German biplane. He hosted fly-ins for that type of plane at Santa Paula and once even put together a fly-in at Whiteman Airport for fire department members, having fixed-wing licenses that included an air race, landing accuracy contest, and flour sack bombing runs. Great camaraderie, truly old fire department stuff. After his retirement, we stayed in contact with Pat occasionally calling to see how the weather was in Newhall Pass for a Bucher flight to parts unknown, and with me occasionally dropping in to see him hold court as the grand poobah of Santa Paula Airport on display days. Well, I thought I'd made it known to him that when he decided to sell his Bucher I'd be interested, but apparently that fell on deaf ears because he sold it and his Jungmeister to some doctors in South Carolina. Shattered, I took to searching the airplane ads, and one day, a couple years later, there it was, same airplane. Long story short, it's back home, and I'm the new curator of a cherished piece of history. I continued to visit Pat by flying his old Bucher to Santa Paula on display days, where it sat front and center in his hangar. Pat was in his element on those days, talking airplanes and helicopters, surrounded by friends and flying machines. Can't say that I've ever seen him happier. Pat received the Medal of Valor, for a helicopter rescue he made on the cliffs of Point Furman on December 31st, 1979. He authored a manual for firefighting and rescues utilizing helicopters. It was adopted by the industry and used worldwide for more than 20 years. When he retired in 1995, Bell Helicopters sent him around the world lecturing on firefighting and rescue operations with helicopters. And after retiring from the fire department, Pat would often say he'd love to go back and do it all over again. Among his many contributions to the world of airborne firefighting, he was also the de facto historian for air ops, compiling newspaper, magazine articles, and pictures that featured LAFD aircraft and personnel in action. He secured the donation of the LAFD Historical Society's Bell 47 from the city by working closely with the city council. His hangar in Santa Paula is adorned with artifacts, pictures, awards, testimonials, giving tribute to a long and heroic career in aviation and the fire service. Well, I'm sure wherever he is now, he's tinkering in his new hangar and then taking flight on wings of gold.